Happy Friday, everybody. It's me, Johnny Lowenthal, with Sabra Hummus at Home. I'm really excited to be joining you guys today. So today, I'm going to be making a supremely spicy hummus fritter with a hummus aioli. But first, to give you a little background about me, normally you would see me on the front lines. I'm usually in the front of house cafe manager with restaurant associates. I work at the AIG, at the Culinary Institute of America in Hyde Park. So usually you'd see me out front, but what I love to do and what my biggest passion is cooking at home. So I'm excited to share a little bit about what I do at home for all of you out there. So when I was thinking about what to cook or what to make with hummus, I was trying to think of something where you could find stuff easily in your spice cabinet, stuff you would find in your pantry, and something fun and easy that everybody can do without any skills or training. You can do this recipe. So I'm very excited to get started. So rule number one with cooking, anytime you're in the kitchen, before you get started, you should always wash your hands. So come over here. Rule is 20-second wash. So you can sing one of your favorite songs, like, oh, Sabra, Sabra. Oh, hummus, hummus. Oh, Sabra, Sabra. Hey, hummus, hummus. By that, you should be able to rinse off. Dry your hands. Get into costume. And you are ready to cook. So what I'm going to do to start off is we're going to start with our aioli. So our hummus aioli, we're actually going to be using a Sabra roasted garlic hummus. The fritter itself is going to be a bit on the spicy side, so I wanted to come up with something that still had a little bit of a kick to it, but definitely balanced it out just a little bit. So we're going to mix up our hummus a little, and then we're going to scrape it into our bowl. You can use whatever tool you want to get it out, spatula or anything. I highly recommend tiny tools. They're the easiest to work with. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add our red wine vinegar, our black pepper, our freshly squeezed lemon juice, which I prepared all of our ingredients before we got started today just to make it a little bit easier. And then we're going to add our hot sauce. You can use anything. I'm a huge fan of spice. I'm a huge fan of hot sauces, but always a classic, sriracha is what we're using today. So once we get all those ingredients in, we're going to get one of our whisks. Once again, tiny whisk. We're going to mix all these ingredients together. Maybe get a little bit messy, because that's what it'll do. Once we get all of our ingredients combined, mixed in really well together, nice, smooth, and creamy, then we're going to add our feta in. The feta is going to add a little bit of saltiness to it. It's also going to add a little bit of texture, which makes everything a lot better. So we're going to mix all those ingredients together, and that is our aioli. So we can put that to the side for right now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start on our fritters. You can use a cast iron skillet. You can use any nonstick skillet for cooking, but today we have a griddle on the stove. Why not use the griddle? So let's get this lit up. We're going to turn it to about a medium heat. We don't want it to get too hot because we don't want to burn and we want it to cook evenly when we flip the fritters over. So let's get started with our fritters. I already have our pre-cooked rice in the bowl. Like I said, I like everything really spicy, so we're going to do Sabra's supremely spicy hummus. Usually when you see stuff that's spicy in stores, it doesn't really affect me very much, but I have to say that Sabra's supremely spicy definitely gets a little kick, which I love. So we're going to stir that up a little bit. We're going to add our hummus to the rice. And while making this recipe, if you don't like spice, you can use the original hummus. If you want something without the spice, you can use the olive tapenade. can really use any of the flavors that Sabra offers. Next, we're going to add our black pepper, celery salt, a little paprika, and then for our flour base, the flour is really used as a binding tool for our cooking. I'm using a gluten-free 1-to-1 baking flour. You can use whatever flour you have in your pantry. My mother-in-law has celiac, so we've learned to cook with a lot of gluten-free stuff, and honestly, you don't taste the difference, so why not go gluten-free and let everybody try it? Oh. So we're going to add that in. And then our last ingredient is our egg. Of course, you always have to have a tiny, tiny whisk. So we'll give a little whip up of the egg, just to get everything spread out evenly. Toss it in. And then we're going to give this a big mix. You can use a whisk, you can use a spatula. So it's going to get kind of a thick consistency. On my recipe, I did say that you could put this in a food processor, blend it up. It makes a much smoother texture, but I really like something with a little more fun to it. So we're just going to mix the brown rice right in there. So when the fritter gets it, it gets really crispy. Get everything mixed up really nice. We're going to move over to the stove. So we're going to come over here to the stove. We've got our griddle heating. The next thing that we're going to want to do is we're going to want to add our oil. Today I'm using a canola oil. You can use a vegetable oil. You can use flaxseed oil, grapeseed oil. I just don't recommend olive oil for cooking the griddle. So we're going to add this on here. When you have a flat surface, the oil itself should start spreading out, but if you want to, you can add a little touch and spread it out yourself, just to get everything evenly coated. Right. Get the oil heated a little bit. You want to get the pan nice and hot and get the oil heated. Once you get the oil heated, it's going to make for a better cooking temperature for fritters. So once that gets hot, we're going to ladle in about a 1/4 cup of the mixture. That's what we're going to put on. Really good temperature. I'm hot. It's hot enough. Let's do it. Right. So we're going to do about 5 of these, maybe. We'll start with 4. So we're going to start with 4. We can flatten it out a little bit with our small spatula. Get them a little bit more flat. And I say it takes about 4 minutes on the griddle. On each side, we want to get it to a nice light brown, crispy, toasty, warm look. So we'll let those cook for a minute. If you're me and you talk a lot and you like to talk while you're cooking, you should definitely set a timer.
Johnny, we have a question from Jill Rinaldi. She wants to know if you can use flax egg instead of regular egg, so it's vegan.
Yeah, I say we should. Vegan is really popular right now, and you can substitute a lot of stuff, and I say go for it. Why not? While we're waiting for these to crisp and brown, or wait for any other questions, like I said before, you can really do this with any of the 16 flavors of Sabra hummus that are out there. I know you might think it's crazy that there's a chocolate hummus, and what would you do with the chocolate hummus? How would you do this? But what it's great for is this time of year, use the chocolate hummus, make your fritters, get nice and toasty, and then get a heaping scoop of ice cream and pour it right on top instead of the aioli. And then you have dessert on a hot day, something nice. This is also something that you can make for a light snack, a lunch. If you want to change things up, it's date night, you're going to watch a movie instead of popcorn, you want a little spice. to spice things up. Make little tiny versions. I've done it before. You just make little mini bites, fry them up, have your aioli for a dipping sauce. You can also use, you can also do different aiolis if you were going to use, let's say, the tapenade hummus. Might make fritters out of that, and then do like a light lemon aioli. Try it out. That's what cooking is all about, experimenting and finding the things that you like. So we're going to check these out really quick. Ooh, yeah. They've got a nice little crisp. This is exactly what you want. When you're flipping them over, you also want to kind of give them a little pat down with your tiny spatula. So now we're going to get these cooking on the other side, get them nice and toasty. While we're doing that, I'm going to grab some greens from the refrigerator. Greens are always nice. They bring a little color to your plate. It looks really healthy. Why not? So we'll do little greens. It's a little messy. Put your greens back in the fridge. You don't want to leave these out. You don't want them to get more liquids at all. Also, while we're waiting for this, what we're going to do is at the very end, you just want to get a little refreshing taste of flavor on the fritters. So we're going to end up using some fresh lemon juice. So I'm just going to cut the lemon, get it ready for us to go. And then another little thing I'm going to do, in case you want to show off for your friends or your loved ones, on one of them, I'm just going to do a slice of lemon. And you're just going to cut one side of it. So it's kind of like that. And we're going to end up doing a little twist at the end. So now while we're waiting for those as well, if you're wondering what you could drink with this, booze, any kind, your favorite cocktail, something refreshing. This is definitely a spicy dish. So I definitely recommend something cold and refreshing. If it's a beer, go for a really nice glass of rosé. One of my favorite drinks of all time is grapefruit paloma. Really easy to make, really delicious, very refreshing, and something you'll love to sip after having a spicy fritter. Let's check in on our fritters, see how they're doing. They're just about done.
We have a question. How does the texture compare to a veggie burger?
Oh, that's a really good question. To be completely honest, I think it's going to be a very, very similar texture, especially if you're not blending up the rice. So what I like about veggie burgers is when you do get all the veggies and there's a little crunch in there and stuff like that, so you have a really nice fun texture. I think the fritters are going to do the same thing if you don't blend the rice up in the food processor. So we're finishing up the fritters, so we're going to turn our griddle off. Plate on your bed of greens. And if you want to, you can go ahead and put other chopped up veggies. You can put some avocado on here, some chopped up tomato, whatever you'd like to do. Maybe this is your lunch, maybe this is your snack, or maybe you're hosting a dinner party. You want to look fancy. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our half a lemon, give the dish just a nice little zest, something sweet and refreshing on top. And if you don't have a juicer, you should. A handheld juicer is always great, makes great cocktails as well. So we're just going to squeeze our lemon juice right over the top of that. Light and refreshing. And then you're going to take, you should always have these at home as well. It's got a dash, a pinch, and a smidgen size, tiny spoons. We're going to take our pinch, get a little bit of salt, just lightly sprinkle it over the top of your dish. Maybe the salt to break up the spiciness for you if it's too spicy. All right, so now we have our fritters ready to go. The next best part, the aioli, and tiny ladle. Just make sure you have one. And it's up to you. You can put a little dip, a little dab, whatever you want to do on here with it. I myself am a very saucy person, so I love sauce. So put on as much as you want. Make sure you're getting good chunks of feta in every spoonful. Drizzle it on, drop it on. Be a mess, just like me. And then just give a little spread on each of them. Even it out. And then take your lemon, twist it up, and there's your supremely spicy hummus fritters with a hummus aioli. Any other questions out there?
How much smaller should snack size fritters be?
I was actually, when we did the snack size, I was just using a tablespoon and using that to scoop on. I think it's the perfect size. If you go a little bit smaller and do teaspoons, if you want a lot of little snack sizes.
We have another question. Is it similar to a potato pancake?
Huh. Not really. It's going to be a slightly different texture. But I guess the size of it and the way you're cooking it and stuff, it'll be similar in that way, but I wouldn't expect the same flavor out of it.
Where would you get all those tiny utensils? They're gaining a lot of traction.
Funny you should ask. My kitchen. I actually collect tiny utensils everywhere I go. The pinch of salt spoons. My mother-in-law found while she was on vacation. The tiny ladle I found at a local home goods store, and tiny spoons I collect everywhere I travel. I get a tiny spoon from anywhere I go. I guarantee you, if you walk through Bed Bath & Beyond, well, we're not walking into those stores quite yet. So if you order online, Bed Bath & Beyond, even Target has some of the tiny tools. And they should gain a lot of traction. Tiny is the way to go.
Well, Tracy Baker would like to know if you have to try it now to make sure that it tastes okay.
Oh, I shall try it for you. I just need to get a fork. Forks are over here. I'll be right back. All right. So make sure with every bite you get a little hummus on it. Hummus Aoili. That's a spicy fritter.
We're getting a request for a close-up on the dish from Chef Mike Smith.
Yes, Mike Smith. The brilliant Mike Smith.
Kimberly Rossiter would like to know if this is a good cooking project for kids.
Yes, but I would highly recommend going with one of Sabra's other hummus flavors. I think the supremely spicy is going to be too spicy for a kid. I would definitely start with the original flavor, maybe the garlic, maybe the roasted red pepper, depending on how picky your kids are. But this is really fun and easy. And as you saw, tools are really easy to use, and kids are tiny. And if you have your tiny tools, it's great for kids.
Michelle Kushner wants to know if it can be just as favorable if she cuts some of the spice out.
Oh, absolutely. Just testing out the recipe and playing around with it. We did half an original, half of a supremely spicy. It still had a kick to it. So I would even say you can add the spice yourself. Start with the original or roasted red pepper, and maybe add some crushed red pepper into it on your own if you're a little nervous about the spice. But yeah, play with it. Any other question? Cool. All right. Well, this has been the best day of 2020 for me. I hope you all had fun with me today. I want to give a huge shout out to Sabra Hummus for selecting me to be part of Sabra Hummus at Home. And I also want to give a huge shout out and thank you to my RA family and team for being so supportive about this. I'm the final episode, so make sure you go back and watch some of the previous episodes on YouTube and follow Sabra on Instagram. Follow me at JohnBoy063 on Instagram to follow some of my more cooking at home. And enjoy the rest of this beautiful summer. Thanks, everybody.